John, bienvenido a Hablamos Spanglish. Estoy súper contenta de tenerte aquí. Welcome. I remember the time when we had a cafecito over breakfast at Sasa's, and you told me the most wonderful stories about your childhood in Cuba. So I said, I want to have John being here at Hablamos Spanglish.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here. Es un placer.
Gracias, John. Y yo quiero empezar, with your story, about why did you come here to the United States? You came at a really young age. So let's start from there, your story.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar to so many immigrants. I think it varies per country, right? And how you do the entry. I was 6 years old when we left Cuba, but we didn't really come to the States until I was 15. So between that, there was Mexico, there was Puerto Rico,
Sí.
there was the Dominican Republic, and Colombia.
Wow.
So that's a lot of places.
It's a lot of places to visit before the age of 16.
It's a lot. My dad, like every Cuban, leaves with nothing, and he was trying to sort of get himself together, create a business. He was in the publishing business, so his entire life was making books and magazines and things like that. And so Mexico is a great place to do that. So is Colombia to be able to do that work.
That's amazing. And before we started, recording this podcast, we were talking about, the first time you flavor freedom.
Yes.
So, and it was in Mexico.
It was such a meaningful story that still wrenches my heart. It really pulls it. And I was thinking about it this last week. I was in the neighborhood, and as I mentioned, there's a lot of people from Mexico and from Central America that without them, the neighborhood could not work. Nothing could work.
This country couldn't work without.
They couldn't. Right. It would just be absolutely impossible. And sometimes I stop by and say hello, and they always ask me, "Do you live in this neighborhood?" And then I said, yeah. And I says, really, how'd you do it? Because they all want to know. Every Hispanic that comes to this country, they want to see, how did you do it?
Of course.
And it's such a pleasure to share with them. But anyway, I was thinking, I'm 6 years old. We're leaving a very dreadful country, like everyone knows. Everything was limited. You couldn't buy anything. There was nothing available. And my mom took me to an department store.
Okay.
Again, it's Mexico City, Distrito Federal.
Because after you left Cuba and you went to Mexico.
Mexico,
right after.
We flew right into. All of a sudden, I'm seeing cars that are of whatever year we were on, and I'm seeing things that I never saw before. So as a 6-year-old, you're not too tall. And we walked in this huge department store in Mexico, and all of a sudden my eye caught this table that had literally, in my view, being a little guy, a mountain of socks. Again, they weren't even fun socks. They were like black and blue socks. And I was saying, what? I have never seen so many socks in my life. I probably had 2 in Cuba, right? And there was this lady there, y yo le pregunté, señorita, how many socks can I buy today?
Wow.
By the way, I had separated from my mom. I mean, I lost my parents because I was so entertained by socks.
The socks. Oh my gosh. Because in Cuba, you had
I never seen, no, there was nothing. Literally, people don't believe it, but literally in those days, nothing. And she looks at me and she says, señorito, todas las que usted quiere, all the ones you want. You can buy as many socks. At that point, I stopped. I don't remember my exact expression, but I think I had a smile.
Wow.
And then I run to my mom. I says, mami, aquí se pueden comprar todas las medias que uno quiera.
Imagínate.
That was my first taste of freedom. And how can you forget that?
Exactly. Yeah. And at the age of 6.
6 years old.
It's incredible.
That was the first time that I said, you know what? There's opportunities. And how am I going to get them?
Exactly. And when you guys left Cuba, did you already had a plan? Like your parents had a plan of coming to the United States? Or was, it just came after all those countries that you visited?
Well, my dad, was in the publishing business all his life. So typically it's a very good idea to do what you already know how to do, especially if you come from another country, a los Estados Unidos de América, unless you have to totally redo yourself, and that's fine. Pero our plan was to get the hell out of Cuba as quickly as possible. I mean, there were days that there were literally days. I mean, we lived well. We weren't rich like all those Cubans from Havana, but we lived a really good upper middle class. There were days that there was only food for me and my sister and a little tiny bed for my mom and dad. And that was with a lot of money. We had a whole room full of money. You couldn't spend the money.
Wow.
So imagine going from that hellhole to Mexico City, which is still one of my favorite cities in the world.
No. And I know you have traveled a lot, with your business, over 30 countries?
40.
40 countries.
Where I visited over 80 plus countries.
Wow.
And I've worked with 40, not because you want to travel, it's because you learn.
Yeah. It enriches your life.
Traveling, and you know this because you travel. So every time I go to India or South Africa or China, wherever it is, they're doing things better than we're doing it. And we're doing things that are better than they're doing it. So there isn't a single country on earth that has the secret for doing best in class.
Yeah.
And so you're able to learn, you're able to see what can you adopt. And that's the great thing about our immigrants. They come here and they already know a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. And it brings diversity and it brings creativity to whatever we do, right? Because I remember when I was in Spain doing my master's, right? And I got to travel a lot in Spain and other countries in Europe. And I remember, of course, I was studying marketing, digital marketing. So I pay attention to ads, all the marketing, publicity, all that.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, how incredible how they adapt, the marketing to each country.
Yeah.
Right? So, obviously for the big brands. And to me was incredible to see, and I wanted to do that here too.
Nice.
Right.
Nice.
So, but that it helped me visiting all those countries, being able to expand my mind.
Yes.
And bring that here and offer a unique, service. But I think for you, when you said that you before the age of 16, before coming to the United States. And being able to travel and learn from so many cultures and from different countries.
Yeah.
It just at such an early age, it's just very, very incredible because it just opened doors for you.
It's a good thing to do with kids, even if you can just travel to Kissimmee. I mean, going to Kissimmee is pretty country, right? Experiential. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you go. You don't have to go all the way across the world. It's just change where you've been sitting for a long time and see something new. It's always a good thing to do.
Yes. And how were your early steps here in the U.S. when you and your family came?
They were rough. Here's this kid living in Medellin, Colombia, having the time of his life, literally. And my dad decided that as he wanted to introduce his business to the United States, he wanted to get an MBA. So he literally dragged us here. Nobody wanted to come. And so we went to Michigan and we arrived there in the middle of December.
Wow.
Yeah, December was cold. We'd never seen snow. I think we knew how to use the English words that you sort of learn like the house, la casa es azul, mi mamá se llama Luz. You know?
Yeah, the books, English books were
they're very basics. All of a sudden, we're in a city in Michigan full of snow, and there isn't a single Hispanic.
Wow, that's a contrast, right?
Not a single Hispanic.
And at that time?
And it was rough.
Yeah.
And then I showed up to high school, to the local high school, and I just got beaten up for like 3 months.
Wow.
I mean, we're talking getting pushed and laughed and hit. I mean,
wow.
And this is like in the middle of the nice country, right? The Midwest, as people are supposed to be nice. But I think when people see somebody that es diferente, is different, and they never seen one before, you know, a lot of people like to push them around.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so guess what I did?
What did you do?
Learn English as quickly as I could. I mean, we had a 7 o'clock English class from 7 to 10. Then I had high school from 10 to 4. Then my dad told me I had to get my first job, which was, we were at a University of Michigan. So my job was to clean like about 100 bathrooms in the men's dorm. I never even knew what soap was. You know, it's like, I mean, we're talking from, you know, having a lot of people around you to help you get through life through, you know, but he thought it was good for my character. I didn't think so. And then at 6 o'clock, I had to learn how to make dinner because my parents were studying. So I learned how to make like the most basic spaghetti and I learned how to make rice and beans. And then at 6:30, we went to the local high school from 6:30 to 9:30 at night to turn and learn more English. There's nothing more important for Hispanics.
Yeah, that's the first
I mean,
step,
I don't
right?
care what you study or what you've done in the past. When you come to this country, you're starting again.
You're starting again, yeah.
And without the language, you're making it very difficult for yourself.
Yeah. And I remember because I was going through so many things when I came to the U.S. and that for me, unfortunately, that wasn't my priority to learn English. Yes. But I had to do it because, my classes were in English. You know, I remember like going home with a headache every day because, the classes were in English, but you didn't understand anything. Right?
It was horrible. It was like 3.5 months that I was in that classroom. I mean, I could tell a few words, but I'm sitting, I think it was geography or American history, and all of a sudden I could follow what the teacher was saying, but I didn't say anything for like another month because I wasn't sure.
Oh my gosh. And who inspired you, John? Because you are an incredible entrepreneur now, but also executive. So who inspired you to become that person, right? Because yes, you came here to the land
of
opportunities, donde todos los sueños se hacen realidad if you work really hard, of course.
It has a lot of work.
But, ¿qué fue esa chispa?
Yo veía a mi papá y mi mamá que desde que salimos de Cuba was work. I mean, it was a 24/7 work. I think seeing your parents have a really good work ethic really helps you so much. And you gotta have a large vision. Tú tienes que tener una visión enorme. O sea, yo siempre le digo a la gente, si tú tienes una visión y tú crees que es grande, yo siempre le digo, te estás quedando corto.
Hay más, yes.
Porque hay tanto más.
Yo siempre digo que mi visión se expande todos los años o cada ciertos meses, right?
Y más hoy en día que las cosas cambian tanto. Sí, es tener una visión grande que no cabe en un cuarto. Es tener la ética de trabajo y es tener resilience. O sea, eso es que no hay nada en el mundo que te va a parar. Y pedirle a Papá Dios todos los días que te bendiga, que te dé salud, que te dé sabiduría, porque sin Papa Dios yo no fuera nadie.
Yeah.
Eso sí es verdad.
Es verdad. So it was your parents who inspired you to...
Definitely my parents. And what happens is that, you also get to choose if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
If you live life thinking that they're going to choose for you, they're going to choose for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
decided that I was going to choose and I was going to pick. That's something that either you're born with or it's for me, es una decisión. It's a decision.
Yes.
It's like, I am going to be the one that decides. And then I decided to work in companies where I thought the management team and the people there were significantly better than me. Mm. And they had accomplished a lot like me because I was there to learn.
Yes.
Y estar dispuesto a hacer lo que sea.
Mm-hmm.
Lo que sea. Y so I've been like fortunate, some people call it blessed, that I've worked with some crazy, amazing companies, and then you learn.
Yes.
And then, but you learn the good things. You have to learn all the good things to do, but people forget to learn all the bad things.
Yeah, and I think, algo que dijiste ahorita de que it start with us, right? Because sometimes we are seeking an external validation, right?
Yes.
¿Y
por qué será eso? No entiendo.
I don't know why, but I think that decision of, you know what, I'm gonna do this because I believe in myself. I am passionate about what I do. I want to learn. I want to become the first, graduate who graduates from, college in my family.
Set big goals.
Or, exactly.
Because with a big vision comes big goals. Mm-hmm. And then if you land the right strategies to achieve your vision, you have to think it through. You can't just say, I'll get up and I'll figure it out. Hell no. You have to decide. You have a vision. You better have 3 to 4 strategies that tell you how you're going to do it.
Yeah.
And then you have to go goals to measure it. Life is not so difficult.
No.
Working hard is difficult.
We make it difficult, right?
I think we're masters, especialmente nosotros los españoles que vienen de España y nos conquer. Mm-hmm. Y yo soy bien español, bien cubano, todas esas cosas, pero yo a veces digo, ojalá que hubiera sido como Inglaterra, que nos hubieran conquer. Y por eso digo, después de que pruebo la comida de Inglaterra, digo, que sería un pecado. Pero nosotros por tendencia, tenemos la tendencia de complicarnos.
Sí.
Y la vida no es complicada. ¿Cuáles son las 3 cosas que yo tengo que hacer hoy para llegar a mi visión?
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Wow. I'm going to put that in practice because sometimes I can.
We all can.
Yeah.
And when I do, I slap myself. I have no one to slap me, except my wife.
John, when you started to set that vision for you, right? Yeah. What were your first, the first steps?
This is very interesting. I'm glad you asked. To me, the people that decide to have a vision and decide to meet strategies and then goals. It's vision, strategy, goals. I mean, it's like, 1 to 3.
Se lo está diciendo un estratega, por favor.
That's it. I mean, don't complicate it more. And measure it, right? Mm-hmm. But I always thought that it was very important to have purpose. So in every job I took or any business that I would start, if I just did it for the money, I'm telling you guys, no lo hagan por el dinero.
No.
El dinero viene solo. Mm-hmm. Really, the money, I promise you guys, I've been doing this for a long time. Do it for the right reasons. Do it for a higher purpose. Mm-hmm. Because you have to get up every day and work. I mean, I used to work 15, 18-hour days. How do you justify working those hours if you don't have a purpose that is bigger than life?
Yeah.
Right?
And also taking in consideration that we spend most of our time working.
Yeah.
Right?
I would say you spend most of your awake hours
awake hours.
So make it meaningful. Dale significancia a tu vida para que cuando tú estás trabajando, tú estás recibiendo esa significancia. No en los fines de semana.
¿Y cómo lo encontraste tú? How did you find that?
Yo la encontré en diferentes lugares. El primer trabajo que yo hice fue trabajar por alguna compañía global de consultoría. And they would help companies make more money, right? So yeah, I mean, profit and purpose. I call them the two P's. Purpose, profit, purpose. They go together. It's like respirar y expirar. You can't separate them. But I learned my passion for how do you help companies grow big, but grow profitably. Because people se enfocan mucho in the revenue.
Yeah.
Revenue means nothing. You can't take revenue to the bank.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So esta compañía was helping companies. But then when you help companies make more money and you help them to have a better culture, a better structure, better systems and processes, you're also benefiting people's lives. And then I always made it a point that the companies that I was the CEO, president, or that I worked for, that I created with them a higher purpose. Because I knew I was going to be asking a lot of them.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm going through that because with the business is that, okay, Anna, you got your team. And actually, we started as a digital marketing agency, but then it's like I want to help and serve my Hispanic community. I want my Hispanic community to have access to resources because we don't know what we don't know, right?
Yeah.
So, but then now I'm thinking, I want to be, intentional. I want to help our community, right? So I want to leave a mark, right? But first, we need to understand, right, that the Hispanic community is different, right, than our general market community.
Yes.
Right, because we have different cultural background. For example, mental health is a taboo, right? It's a taboo.
No se habla de eso.
No, right? In our Hispanic community, we
no le gusta hablar de eso.
Don't even mention it, right?
No.
And how do we start a conversation? So that's the campaign. And I bet because you are one of the pioneers on doing Hispanic marketing, right?
Yeah.
In this country, I bet you had a lot of stories to tell, right, regarding this.
Yeah. And I'm so glad you're doing that, Ana Carolina, because it's a lot more than just translating something from English to Spanish, so much more. And I've seen your work, and it's good work. So I really congratulate. There's very few people in the field that really can deliver it.
Thank you.
My first ever experience with the U.S. Hispanic market, and again, we live in a world of labels, right?
Exactly.
The U.S. There is no U.S. Hispanic market. There is no Latino, or I think they call them Latinx now. I'm not sure. Whatever those labels are that somebody in a room decided, there were like 20 plus countries. And I think we know that, yes, we have similar stuff, but we're very different.
Yes.
We're very, very different. And how do you attack a group that is so diverse, right? And I got a call from one of my clients at the consulting company I was in, and she says, this is crazy, but we're about to launch a television station that services U.S. Hispanics and their families. And guess what? We're going to sell through it. So this was a call from Home Shopping Network that's been selling over television for 40 years. It's QVC, We actually have great deals, okay? So
ya sé, compraste.
Yeah, shopping is great.
Yeah.
And that's what I was doing in Mexico. When I returned, I was opening a home shopping network in Español in Mexico, but we opened it in the United States. So I was their president there.
Okay.
So again, don't be afraid to do something that you've never done before.
Exactly.
Because if they think you can do it, you should think about it before they think you can do it, right? So imagine serving the different factions, right? And this is live television, so it cannot be taped. So, so I brought a lot of celebrities, and from Latin America, you had to have Venezuelans, Colombians. I think the only people that didn't have was Argentinians and Chileans and Bolivians, because there are probably not that many, or Costa Rica. I don't think there's that many Costa Ricans here. Yeah. But we have from Puerto Rico, from Cuba, from the DR, from Venezuela, Colombia, obviously a lot from Mexico. I think it's still 68% of Hispanics are of Mexican descent.
Oh my gosh, I have to look at the recent data, but
it's a huge chunk.
It's the majority.
Yeah, it's the majority of Latinos and Hispanics. And imagine selling 70 different products per day.
Exactly.
Live. And talking to the Latinos en español por primera vez.
Wow.
No, es la primera vez que se hizo televisión en español. La primera vez que hubo televisión en español en vivo.
Wow.
Porque Univision no es vivo, Telemundo no es vivo, ningún canal es vivo. La gente está en viva, pero es todo pre-recorded, ¿no? Para mí, eso fue uno de los grandes placeres que yo he tenido hasta ahora, y espero tener mucho más. Pero servir a nuestra familia. Y ellos llamaban, yo tenía como 300, 400 gente en el call center. Y a mí me fascinaba oír las llamadas cuando María o Pedrita o Pedrito hablaba y decía, y esto y lo otro, pero como era en vivo, podían hablar con los artistas. They could talk to the celebrities live, and they could see
they had an experience.
Yeah, they had an experience, but you could also, they actually allowed us to create products and services just for the Hispanic. So it's the first time they're starting to feel like, wow, they're paying attention to me. Wow.
¿Y en qué año fue esto?
Eso fue en el año 2000.
2000.
Yeah, 2000. And on, we launched in 2000. I remember because it was 2000. And we did it for a bunch of years. And then I've done similar work in Brazil and in Europe and in Japan as well. It's an art. It's an art and science. How do you sell on television or now on the phone?
Of course. And
live.
How did you stay connected to your roots? Because you have worked in these large corporations, but within those large corporations, right, you were also working for the Hispanic market, right?
Yes.
So I remember one of the first time that you and I had conversations, and you told me these amazing stories, and that's why I said, like, wow. And at that time, there wasn't so many Hispanics like today, right? And I bet it was even more difficult.
No, there were many like me in the business side either. You know, I've always pretty much been the only Hispanic at the executive level.
Wow.
And now there's a lot more. Not enough.
Not enough.
Not enough. But then you can't get it just because you're Hispanic or African American or whatever. You have to get it because you earned it and because you're qualified to get it. That's the only reason why you should get a job. Never rely on who you are or your ethnicity.
It's not to fill diversity, right?
No. It's about being very competent on what you do. But how do you know, for me, it's very, very easy de ser Latino.
Sí.
It comes because I am so Latino. I'm so Hispanic. You know, it starts with the familia, the center, you know that there's no word in English for sobremesa?
No hay.
No hay.
Es verdad.
Sobremesa. And for those people that, don't know what sobremesa is, it's basically you finish eating and then you stay around the table. And guess what we do?
We're chatting.
We just talk and laugh and tell jokes. And it's great for digestion. But we take the time, right? So keeping the food alive, keeping your relationships with the community. With this one at Home Shopping at QVC, I felt that I was so incredibly connected because I didn't need any focus groups.
Yeah.
We were talking to a few thousand Hispanics of every nationality every day.
Yes.
And I knew what they were thinking, what they were watching. We knew everything about them.
Exactly.
And they're just the most wonderful people on earth. If I love Hispanics, after that, I loved them and appreciated them.
So,
por eso es tan importante ayudarlos y y que cumplan su sueño americano.
Yeah, no, I think, and this is, why I launched this podcast. I think it serves two purposes, right? One is to inspire and educate our Hispanic community, but mostly inspire so they can see, mira, él lo hizo, yo también puedo, right? Y también, our American community or general market, so they can learn, like your story. You came from Cuba, went to different countries before migrating. Like, these are so many stories of, from different backgrounds and why do we come here, and also all the positive impact, right?
Yes.
And you left a huge mark in our country by being a pioneer. Right?
Thanks for saying that. That's really kind. I think that we all can be pioneers. I think that you should always go for things that you never done before. And if you're willing to work hard, and I swear that really what it takes is to work hard and to have a stamina and, ¿cómo se dice? Tenure, o sea, no vencerse.
Sí.
No dejarse de vencer. Y es tan fácil uno caerse.
Sí.
Ahora, yo me he caído un montón de veces, pero tú sabes qué yo hice, me levanté.
Exacto.
Yo siempre digo, tú tienes 3 minutos al día para sentirte mal.
3 minutos al día.
3 minutos and go for it, have a good time. Pero that's it.
Wow.
Porque tú tienes que tener una mente positiva. ¿Y cómo se tiene una mente positiva? Pensando en cosas positivas. Es tan simple. Y no dejes que lo negativo te eches para abajo. El mundo está diseñado para bajarte. Y tú estás diseñada y diseñado para subir.
Wow.
Pero you said something very important. You said, if you're going to come to this country, or if you are already in this country, then do things that leave this country better than when it was when you found it.
Yes.
This country, you didn't come for this country just to, for mi familia. Yeah, you came for, I wanted to make more money. That is so stupid. It really is.
Yeah.
We come to this country to make it better for everybody. Right? A este país mejor.
Yeah.
Porque you make the country better, guess who you make better also?
Yeah, yourself,
you and your family. We have it sometimes backwards.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Y John, lamentablemente ya estamos llegando al final de estos 30 minutos. Pero, looking back, right? And I know you had the opportunity to visit Cuba after so many years, right?
I know.
You even went to your old house,
mi casita.
Like you were able to go inside and, and then, when you look back at that young boy that came here and that has achieved so many things, you went through really, like you said, up and downs, and you no te desmayaste, you continue.
Continuamos.
Right? So tell me a little bit of how what would you tell that young boy, right?
That's a great question. I really love that little boy. I've always liked my childhood, and even though as harsher it was, but I had great parents and I had a great sister. So that's all that counts. And that's all that counts. And I know you have a great family too that supports you.
Yeah.
I saw you in the Don Quixote and everybody going, "Bravo, Carolina!"
Carlos actually was one of our producer. He captured one of those videos.
He captured it well.
Yes.
By the way, this place Carlos has it's just the bomb.
No, hi, hello, labs.
Hi, hello, labs. Hello, and hi. So I look back, and I could have talked about the 6-year-old that arrived in Mexico City in Distrito Federal. If I could tell him now and says, "Boy, are you in for the coolest ride ever?" But we decide to make it cool.
Yeah.
We decide. Nosotros decidimos la vida que queremos. Eso de excusas, yo puedo escribir un libro de 40,000 excusas. Todos los días lo puedo hacer. Y no caí bien, no me cayeron, no me rieron, no me portaron, no recibí el trabajo, no me quieren. ¿De verdad quieres pasar tu vida así?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, no. And I love that. And thank you for sharing because, I think many people y las personas que nos escuchan, everybody needs to hear that. Y es importante que lo recordemos todos los días.
Todos los días.
Yeah.
Lo más importante es tú decides.
Yeah, tú decides.
Tú decides.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You.
This was so much fun.
And the conversation is going to continue, I know, in another cafecito, but for now, I hope que te tengamos aquí nuevamente because you have so much to share with our audience that este es el primero de muchos.
I love your audience and I love you and I love what you're doing. Your dedication to the U.S. Hispanic is unprecedented. And people need to know that it's not easy.
Yeah.
That is, you're taking care of them, you're taking care of your family, you're taking care of your business and the people working for your business. And this, guess what? The most important, you're taking care of yourself. So you decide who's first.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Muchísimas gracias, mi gente. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey of Hablamos Spanglish. It is a pleasure for me to explore the diverse stories and experiences within our vibrant Hispanic community. I hope that you have found inspiration, connection, and a deeper appreciation for our culture and heritage. Remember, our stories are what unite us and what make us stronger. Stay tuned for more captivating episodes in the future, and don't forget to follow us on social media and share your thoughts with us. Hasta pronto.